Hey there, everyone. This is Samuel Johnson, and welcome back to the MCU Perspectives. And today we're going to be discussing the 18th film to be released as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Black Panther. And since we are now finally looking at Black Panther's solo film, I can actually get into my history with Black Panther prior to seeing it. And well, my first exposure to the character was like with a few other Marvel characters, with Ultimate Avengers, specifically Ultimate Avengers 2, as in that movie he was a prominent character, and up to that point I hadn't heard about him, so when he was featured in the movie I didn't know anything about him prior to that. It was thanks to the movie that I learned some basic stuff about his history, about how he came from the fictional nation of Wakanda, and how a nation that was technologically advanced thanks to their nation being built on a pretty much a mountain of vibranium that that they harvested over the years, and that unlike other superheroes, his title was passed along from father to son, from king to king, and so on and so forth. And one king, pretty much whoever the current king of Wakanda was, they would be Black Panther, and when the day they died, their son would not only inherit the throne but also the role. And their job was pretty much just to protect Wakanda. However, they were also isolationists. They didn't interact with the outside world for any reason, and the Black Panther's sole duty was just to Wakanda. As such, I did learn about as such because of that. I only knew as such because of this. I only knew so much. I want to say about Black Panther. Like I knew that he helped out the Avengers from time to time, and he was kind of sort of a member. But beyond that, beyond the premise of the character, I openly admit I did not know that much about him. I don't know his rogues gallery beyond the villain who was featured in this movie. I don't know much about his supporting cast beyond who is featured in this movie. I don't really and just I only know some general stuff about him. I know that he is I know he's king. I know the title's passed along, and I know that Wakanda is technologically advanced because of vibranium. But again, I don't really know that much about the character. I haven't read any of his stories. I haven't seen that much with him beyond Ultimate Avengers 2, and to a lesser degree the next Avengers, though that was kind of what involved him though that kind of involved his son. But again, beyond that, I didn't know that much. And even then, Ultimate Avengers wasn't exactly the original version either, as that version could transform into a Black Panther. Not even kidding. But yeah, I only knew so much about the character. As such, when I learned that they were going to be introducing him to the Marvel Cinematic Universe via Captain America: Civil War, I was a little cautious. I admit I was a little cautious when they introduced him. When they said they were going to introduce him, especially since unlike Black Widow and Hawkeye, I felt he was one of the bigger name heroes. So I thought he might have at least deserved his own solo film. Maybe get an allusion to his history, and later maybe get like a call out to him and Wakanda in another film. But otherwise, at least have a film that establishes backstory first, and that was his backstory first. I didn't know how he was going to be worked in with Civil War. But again, when I actually saw Civil War, I actually thought they integrated his backstory rather well, with the death of his father, introducing him in the suit, introducing him, introducing him, not revealing much about him, but enough so that you'd be interested, which is what Civil War was able to do with him. As we saw him come in, we saw him hunting the Winter Soldier and ultimately fighting on Iron Man's side because of that. And as such, it gave us a window into his story, the same way that Iron Man 2 gave us a window into Black Widow and how later films expanded on her character. As such, with Black Panther, I actually was open to seeing a solo film about him. And so when this film was going to come out again, I knew I was going to be seeing it. So, what do I think of it? So, yeah, a year ago, wound up going to see it, enjoyed it. Year later, or at least maybe, I don't know. But what do I think of the movie? Let's get to the spoilerific plot summary, and just a heads up, I'm using my phone to kind of give some additional light, which is why this shadow is here. It's kind of yeah. So I'm probably gonna be pausing this vlog at certain points to go on my phone because I know I'm probably gonna need it. There are certain characters' names that I have trouble remembering, so I apologize. But will be pausing this vlog here and there to probably look at my phone since that's where my notes are. But anyway, the film actually opens up with the history of Wakanda in this universe. Pretty much, pretty much what happened is that Wakanda was founded by 5 tribes on a patch of land in Africa that a meteorite that contained vibranium landed on. They didn't come there immediately after. Apparently, the vibranium came long before humans were even a thing on Earth. But the vibranium pretty much seeped into the earth and affected the local plant life. And when man sprouted on Earth, these 5 tribes came to this land where the vibranium crashed and pretty much took roots there, making that pretty much settling Wakanda. However, the 5 tribes didn't exactly get along, and it led to war. However, one member of the tribe, a shaman warrior was called, had apparently gained a vision from the panther goddess. Hold on a sec. Okay, like I said, he received a vision from the panther goddess Bust, who directed him towards one of the plants that I'm guessing was affected by the vibranium. A plant that they never actually say the name of, but it's called the heart-shaped herb. And when kind of grinded up and put into a liquid, and drank, it gives whoever drinks it pretty much superhuman strength, agility, and senses. As such, with his newfound power, the shaman took the plant and used it, and pretty much was able to use his newfound powers to unite the tribes into one, unite 4 of the tribes into a kingdom, becoming their first ruler and becoming the first Black Panther. However, one tribe, once again, sorry about that. Anyway, like I said, the 5th tribe, which again notes called the Jabari tribe, actually splintered off from Wakanda and instead chose to live in the mountains. As such, the 4 remaining tribes pretty much used the vibranium that they had at their disposal, and pretty much built Wakanda up into this technological new utopia. However, unfortunately, as they advanced, the rest of the world was still kind of in the Dark Ages. And as a result of this, sorry about this once again, hold on. Sorry, that one had absolutely nothing to do with the notes. You saw the light. I just had to close the door. Anyway, as I was saying, Jabari. Yeah, pretty much the rest of the world was pretty much as Wakanda grew, the rest of the world was still in the Dark Ages, and so Wakanda decided that early on that they wanted nothing to do with the outside world because they felt that if the technology they had gotten to other people's hands, it would lead to mass chaos. As such, they pretty much used their advanced technology to put a shield above Wakanda / camouflage, meaning that and if you went to try and find Wakanda, all you'd find are mountains and trees, and you wouldn't. All you find are mountain and trees, and even if you were lucky enough to find it, it turns out that the borders around Wakanda are guarded. As such, for centuries, Wakanda has just been isolated from the rest of the world, and just kind of keeping their technology for themselves, with their leader, the Black Panther, protecting them and their loved ones, protecting Wakanda and keeping their secrets safe. And of course, that where the film properly picks up is with our current Black Panther, the new crowned king T'Challa, the son of T'Chaka. Again, as we saw in Civil War, he is now the new Black Panther, as thanks to the machinations of Zemo, his dad is now in the, as they call it, ancestral realm. As such, he's now the new leader, and the film actually opens up with him attacking this convoy that's kidnapped all these various villagers and children and so forth. I don't know what they're planning to do with them. Maybe sell them into slavery, use them as cheap labor. I don't know. Either way, I don't know. But one of them is actually the love interest was actually T'Challa's love interest named Nakia. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. Who is pretty much one of Wakandan's spies, as we learn that Wakanda has spies all over has spies all over the globe. So they're kind. And she's one of them. T'Challa in his Black Panther attire is able to save them with the help of the head of the guard, Okoye. And so the reason he's here is because he's going to be the official ceremony is going to be taking place soon, and he wants Nakia to be there. Even though as we learn, they apparently broke up. Why they broke up, I don't know, but she's the love interest, so whatever. as such, what the ceremony entails is that when a new king of Wakanda is crowned, they are given a chance to the other tribes that make up Wakanda are given the chance to challenge that rule, as all of them have royalty and blood, have a royal claim to the throne, as each of them have royalty, as each of them have a royal warrior or son or someone up there that wants to step up and take the throne, that could potentially step up and take the throne. And how this goes down is that they gather at this battleground, which is this waterfall, and what happens is that the current king of Wakanda takes this anti-serum that pretty much nullifies the heart-shaped herb's effects, pretty much turning them back into a normal person. And so each member of the tribe brings out their best warrior, and they have the option of challenging the king of Wakanda or not. The king or not, and pretty much in the course of the battle, the only way for the battle to be over is if one of the warriors either concedes or is killed, and pretty much whoever wins the battle is named the new king of Wakanda. And as such, this very thing happens, and the only people that actually challenge are the fifth tribe. I still forgot their name, so I apologize. And their king Mbuku, who does end up losing. When T'Challa tells him to yield. Pretty much kicks his ass and tells him to yield. As such, once it's all over, they undergo a process to get their powers back. The king undergoes a process to get his powers back as they go into the chamber where they grow the heart-shaped herb. Herbs take it again and are buried, and pretty much have a vision of the ancestral plane where they can talk with their loved ones and so forth. However, as such, once that process is over and T'Challa is now officially named king, they get an alert. He pretty much is just kind of catching up with his friends and loved ones. He goes to talk to Nakia and asks her to want to stay in Wakanda, but she says that she actually does enjoy the work she does outside of Wakanda. She actually looks at the world and actually kind of believes that Wakanda should do more than just help themselves, so to speak. She thinks that because she sees that other countries have offered aid and other charitable services to other countries, and she thinks that if Wakanda started doing the same thing, they could do it so much better because of how advanced they are. But of course, it's tradition. But of course, isolationists, they don't want to get involved with the rest of the world's affairs. They have themselves to worry about. But of course, what Nakia says does kind of get to T'Challa a bit as he goes to talk with another friend of his who I don't remember his name, so I apologize. I didn't write it down, but he's Okoye's husband, I suppose, and he pretty much is the one guarding the border. Pretty much guarding the border of Wakanda, and he's kind of under the belief that, and when he talks with him, he's also kind of under the belief that Wakanda should expand beyond his borders, but whereas Nakia believes that maybe that they can offer aid to other countries and help and those in need, he believes that they should just they believe that they could just go to war. Go to surrounding countries, and they could just expand their rule, which, T'Challa's not exactly okay with. They're peacemakers. They don't fight unless they have to. So that's not going to happen. But as they're in the middle of the conversation, Okoye contacts them and tells them that she has a bit of news, as they actually kind of have the whereabouts of a known trouble figure that Wakanda is interested in. A man by the name of Ulysses Claw. And pretty much what's going on is that back in 1992, Ulysses Claw, or Claws, I'm just going to call him, was an outsider that managed to get into Wakanda and steal some of their vibranium. As in the process of stealing it, he caused a lot of damage and a lot of people were killed. So just for breaking into Wakanda, so pretty much all these crimes together made him one of their top figures that they have to look out for. And pretty much they've gotten word through someone, don't know how, that I'm guessing through their spies, that Ulysses has managed to gain access to some more Wakandan technology. In this case, it was a weapon that he stole from a London museum with the help of his entourage and our film's villain, who a man by the name of Eric Shaw, I think, who who managed to kind of help him steal the technology by just who managed to help him steal the technology by poisoning the curator of the museum and stealing the and having his own and having Claw's people impersonate paramedics so that they could get in and rob the place. And pretty much what's going to happen is that he plans on selling this Wakanda technology to a buyer in a place in South Korea. And so, because this guy is a big figure on their watch list, of course, T'Challa wants to go after him, as apparently not catching this guy is one of his father's biggest regrets. So he thinks that maybe he can make up for it. Something that even his friend, the guard, something that even Okoye's husband, I'm just going to call him that, Okoye's husband, I'm sorry, I don't remember his name, I'm sorry. Something that, yeah, but it's something he's okay with, because he had friends and loved ones that died when Claw attacked the first time, so he'd be more than happy to see justice be done, or at the very least learn that he's dead. Or at the very least know that the Black Panther managed to kill him. As such, we end up seeing more of how T'Challa works as the Black Panther, as we actually see that his sister, a girl named whose name is Shuri. Sorry. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. I'm pausing way too often. I'm pausing way too quickly and way too often. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, as I was saying, his sister Shuri's a tech whiz. She's able to build all these advanced pieces of technology that, while Wakanda themselves does have their own have their own advanced technology, she kind of works in her own thing with her own little lab and everything. Like, for example, she's able to make sound dampening shoes. She's able to make shoes that are sound dampening, so they don't make a sound, which he calls sneakers. I didn't laugh either. And then creating upgraded versions of the Black Panther suit, that can pretty much absorb any kinetic force that's thrown into it and redirect it out, and even creating more advanced weapons, including these discs that can disrupt a car, or if thrown on a car can pretty much give whoever's in the control panel, which is back in the lab, instant access to it and just complete control over it without even having to be in the vehicle. It's actually really nice, and I like that. As such, Shuri ends up arming T'Challa with a new Black Panther suit, with one of the Black Panther suits, as unlike the original, this one can be worn. It's actually condensed in a necklace that is connected to the wearer's thoughts. And as such, T'Challa, Okoye, and Nakia go to South Korea and manage to get into where the deal is supposed to go down, which in this case is an underground casino where weapons are not allowed. As such, all three kind of spread out across the casino and try to find the buyer. And even noticing a number of Americans there, as the buyer is supposed to be American. But while T'Challa looks around, he actually spots a familiar face. In this case, it's a CIA agent named Ross, who actually was a character in Civil War, but I didn't really talk about him since I think he only appeared in like one scene, but don't quote me on that. He probably appeared in more, but I don't remember him. That's how much of a role he played. But bottom line, he and T'Challa know each other, and T'Challa knows that if he's here, he's probably after Claw as well. As such, he goes to the craps table that Agent Ross is at, and pretty much both guys make it perfectly clear that they don't want the other guy getting in their way, as they both are in the middle of this. In fact, it turns out Ross is actually the guy that Claw is here to make the deal with, and this is pretty much just a sting operation. He wants to capture Claw. He wants to come in here and capture Claw and arrest him. But T'Challa makes it clear that he wants Claw himself. And after placing down a bet on the craps table and walking away, his bet actually wins, and this is where we get our Stan Lee cameo, as Stan Lee comes in and takes his winnings, say, "I'll just hold on to these for safekeeping." Yeah, that's pretty much the only reason I emphasize this, because that's where we get our Stan Lee cameo. I'm sorry. But yeah, eventually Claw and his men do show up with their weapons fully out and no one stopping them. And as Claw goes to approach Ross, Okoye and Nakia notice that there's a lot more people there than they realized, and they realize that Ross is being set up. This isn't just a sting operation. It's pretty much just to take out potential threats. And it does get to that point, as it turns out that And that's how badly things go. As unfortunately, as one of his men actually spots, as one of Claw's men actually spots Okoye, and pretty much realizes that she's not supposed to be there, and yeah, all hell breaks loose in the casino as we get into a giant fight scene. As Okoye was actually managed to sneak through one of their spears, and they start fighting. As such, pretty much a whole battle erupts, and eventually, They all start all fighting. All hell breaks loose, and eventually it leads to T'Challa managing to get a Claw. Only it turns out that Claw's left arm is a freaking sonic cannon, and that is awesome. And I'm not as he used it to blast the T'Challa back and him as he and his entourage run outside and get in their van and run away. As such, Okoye and Nakia manage to get out and chase after them. Run out there, grab a car, and chase after them with them throwing one of the devices for the car onto a nearby vehicle, that's allowing Shuri to help out. And so T'Challa gets into his Black Panther outfit as he hitches a ride on the car, and we get a really awesome chase scene as we see T'Challa just trying to catch up with them and jumping between vehicle to vehicle as they keep unloading as pretty much it's just an all around awesome scene as we see. It's just an all-around fun scene as we see them going across various angles. Shuri just driving all over the place. Just T'Challa jumping from car to car, deflecting bullets, even using all the excess kinetic energy to cause explosions that cause cars to freaking flip. They flip, guys being thrown out of vehicles, cars blowing up. I'm not even kidding. Cars actually do blow up as Claw is able to use a sonic cannon to destroy the car that Okoye and Nakia are using, though with neither of them getting hurt, of course, because why would they be? But Ross manages to catch up with them and give them a lift. Eventually, though, T'Challa does manage to catch up with Claw's car and cause it to pretty much wreck and grab Claw. Claw tries begging for mercy, and T'Challa does consider killing him, but they've kind of accrued enough. But you can't really cause that big a car chase and not attract attention. And as such, a lot of people are watching them and taking pictures. So yeah, they can't just perform an execution right there. It's not going to make them look good. As such, they hand Claw over to Ross. Though T'Challa and Okoye are still planning to take him back to Wakanda. Though Ross is still not willing to hand him over. As such, they set up an interrogation between Ross and Claw, with Ross playing good cop, bad cop, with him being good cop, and maybe either T'Challa or Okoye playing bad cop. But yeah, they're not really willing. Again, they don't really willing to play along with him. But T'Challa does manage to plant something on Ross that allows him to listen on the interrogation, as we hear Claw telling Ross about how they're pretty much pulling the wool over his eyes. Because to the rest of the world, Wakanda is a nation of farmers. They may have stashes of vibranium at their disposal, but they're not exactly. Apparently, even then, they've managed to dampen that by making everyone think that they're not that big a deal. Also, it just occurred to me, was Ulysses Claw in Avengers Age of Ultron? I think he might have been, but don't quote me on that. He might have been. I'll have to look that up after I'm done with this. I'm sorry. That's just kind of going off sidetrack. It just makes me wonder, is that what happened? Because I think I remember Ultron cutting off the dealer's arm in Age of Ultron. So that might have been Ulysses Claw. But again, don't quote me on that. I don't know. I could be wrong. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked a bit. Either way, he's just pretty much. Anyway, back to the movie. Anyway, Ross pretty much just tells Ross, you're being fooled. The stuff I stole, that was nothing. They've got a crap ton of vibranium with them, and even the stuff they've used over the centuries, that's just scratching the surface over what they have. So it pretty much is me. And so when Ross hears this, he does start kind of questioning this, and does go back to question T'Challa, question T'Challa, Okoye, and Nakia about how much vibranium and how they have access to. However, it turns out that the robotic arm that Claw had, it was a tracker. Sorry about this again. Simple word, dog. Anyway, as I was saying, it turns out that... Oh, sorry. Minor thing. Anyway, as I was saying, it turns out that Claw's robotic arm, it was a tracker. That Eric and the rest of Claw's entourage were using to pretty much track him. And as such, they're able to narrow it down back to the building that they're interrogating Claw in. And my guess is that they managed to hijack some of the security cameras out there, because one of them is facing the alley that they use to get in there, to just face the back of the building. And pretty much what happens is that Nakia notices that something's going up with the security camera, as it seems a bit off, and she realizes that someone is there, and so she realizes that someone is there, and tries to warn everybody that something's up. However, that ends up going awry. However, she's too little, too late, as the wall to the room they're holding Claw in blows up, and comes in Eric with the rest of Claw's entourage, and with Eric wearing this mask that he wound up stealing from the London Museum, which I like. And so he and the crew come in to pretty much take Claw. As T'Challa gets into his Black Panther suit again and tries going after them, but he ultimately fails to recapture Claw. But he ultimately fails to recapture Claw as they manage to blast him away, as they manage to pretty much just overpower him, because I'm guessing they have Wakanda tech. I forget. I think they had Wakanda tech. And he's knocked aside. However, before they go, he manages to see the necklace around Eric's neck, and he sees that on the necklace is a ring. And this is actually a special kind of ring, because it's supposed to be a ring that Wakandan royalty are passed along. As T'Challa himself actually has one. It was passed on from his grandfather to his father to him. And so the fact that this guy has one too kind of raises questions about where he got it. But however, that doesn't really last long as he goes back inside to warn everyone that Claw escaped. But unfortunately, Ross is seriously injured, as when Eric and his crew wound up attacking, he pushed Nakia out of the way, but wound up taking the hit and got a bullet in his back for his troubles. As such, T'Challa gives him something to stabilize the wound, but they know that they think that they can heal him better if they bring him back to Wakanda. Something that Okoye ends up kind of isn't exactly happy with, but they think it's the least they can do. As such, they bring him back to Wakanda, though they also have to face the fact that they weren't able to bring back Claw, something that Okoye's husband is not exactly happy with. But once again, T'Challa still wants answers about the guy that he saw. As such, he goes to an elder, the guy who kind of oversaw the combat trial earlier, and this guy's name is Suri, I think. And he wants to know, and he starts questioning him about his uncle, as apparently a story that his father told him about his uncle was that apparently his uncle disappeared. And Suri is something that says that's true. However, T'Challa tells him that he saw a guy wearing tells him about how Eric had the ring, had the ring that was passed on Wakandans, and he wants to know exactly what happened. Suri isn't willing to talk because he was sworn to silence by T'Chaka, but pretty much T'Challa pulls rank and tells him, I'm the king now, tell me what I want to know. And so Suri kind of spills the beans. And this is I'm going to have to get into Eric's backstory. As this was shown at the beginning of the movie, but we didn't learn all the full details till this scene, and yeah, it turns out that T'Chaka's brother, I don't remember their names, I'm sorry. T'Chaka's brother was one of the spies sent out to the world to kind of keep tabs on everything and report back to Wakanda. However, while T'Challa's uncle was in America, he fell in love and he had a kid. And that kid was Eric. As such, for the longest time, he pretty much just kind of kept under the radar, living in the hood, raising his son, but also telling him about Wakanda, about how the sunset there looks beautiful, about how he one day hopes to bring him there, even giving him these little markings, because apparently Wakandans identify each other, had these markings on the inside of their bottom lip that if they all they have to do is pull them down and it identifies that you're from Wakanda. I think they kind of look like barcodes, but I don't, which I don't fully understand. But whatever, it's their culture. I'm not going to question it. But one particular night, while T'Challa's uncle and his friend and a friend of his were planning this heist, they want King T'Chaka and his guards came to see them. And the reason they came to see him is because of Ulysses attacking Wakanda and stealing the vibranium. However, they find it strange that he was able to get into Wakanda as easily as he could. As how they were able to get, because how was he able to get in there in the first? Because in order to get in as well as Claw was able to, he needed an inside man, someone that knew Wakanda, that went inside and out. And he ultimately ends up accusing and T'Chaka ends up accusing his brother. Something that his brother adamantly denies until his friend confirms that yeah, it was him. It turns out his friend was actually Siri, though of course, who not only was keeping tabs on it, who was not only keeping tabs the way that T'Chaka's brother was, but was also keeping tabs on him. And so yeah, he confirms that T'Chaka's brother was the mole that helped out Ulysses Claw. And his defense for this was that living in America, seeing how African Americans are being treated and just being subjugated, just kind of the world, that's just how they were being treated and how the world treated them, how they lived. He thought that it was just outrageous. He thought it was just insane, and and pretty much what he wanted was that he wanted them to have the same capabilities as Wakanda. But unlike with Nakia, who wants to give people their resources in order to bring them all together and make them all whole, he pretty much just thought if they had our resources, they could rise up and they could take over this place. And the Wakanda's kingdom would continue to grow. It would be us in charge. We could actually make things right for them. We could things right. And so, yeah, just for the fact that he helped. But yeah, he was pretty much marked a traitor, and they said he was going to come with them too. And they were pretty much planning to bring him back to Wakanda to stand trial. And pretty much T'Challa's uncle wasn't having any of that, and so he tried pulling a gun on them. Specifically, he was planning on shooting Suri with, but T'Chaka, to defend him, wound up killing him, using his panther claws to just stab him through the chest, and then just leaving him on his apartment floor. After this, he swore Suri to silence, and then just left. However, they left Eric behind, as they wanted to pretty much just cover this all up. They didn't want anyone to know what T'Chaka's brother did, or that he was the mole, or that he helped in all this. And so the best way they could do that was just pretty much just wipe his name out of everything. Just say he disappeared. We don't know what happened to him. That's it. End of story. As such, Eric was left behind, watching as they flew away, and then even wound up returning to the apartment and found his dad's dead body. And yeah, it messed him up something fierce. And that's where we kind of get to Eric in the present day. As it turns out that as he and Claw are making their getaway are going to a plane, Eric wants Claw to drop him off at Wakanda, though he doesn't think that's something. Well, Claw isn't exactly willing to do that, which ultimately results in Eric shooting Claw's entourage. Claw tried to defend himself by taking this girl that Eric was kind of having a thing with, and I don't even know her name. She's pretty much just a background character. And Eric just shoots her and ends up shooting Claw as he tries to make his getaway. Claw tries telling him they're not going to be able to get you in, as he has the mark on his neck from when he was in there and they branded him. To which Eric pulls down his lips and shows him the Wakandan barcode, showing that he's Wakandan. And it turns out that part of the reason that he was actually working with Claw in the first place is because he was aware of his history, and he thinks that having him there will kind of get him some brownie points as she shoots Claw. As such, he gets him into the plane and they fly to Wakanda, and so he drags Claw's body to the border, and of course Okoye's husband sees this and sees the body and says he wants to see the king, and so Eric ends up wanting to see the king. As such, Ross ends up waking up and pretty much and upon kind of questioning where he is, he learns that they are in Wakanda. He learns that they're in. He pretty much discovers that he's in Wakanda as Shuri fills him in on everything. How their technology was able to heal his bullet wound. How he's fine now, which even he's in disbelief with. But eventually they get. But Okoye manages to contact Suri and tells him about Eric entering and how he's an outsider who claims to be Wakandan. They manage to get a profile of a picture of him up, and Ross, it turns out, actually recognizes him. As such, they're able to make contact with. As such, as we see T'Challa kind of gripping with the fact that his father pretty much killed his uncle and then covered this troop, which Naki is trying to comfort him on. They end up getting called in by Suri, who tells them that she needs to show them and Okoye something. As such, Ross pretty much gives the laydown of Eric Shaw's backstory. It turns out Eric is one of theirs. He's actually he's a black ops operative who's kind of one of the best that they have. He's where he works with a ghost unit, and his unit is pretty much meant to destabilize governments, to use that training and take advantage of the training, get inside their head, take down the resources, and pretty much cause the whole thing to topple from the inside out. Cause the whole thing to topple on the inside out. And on top of that, he's got a high kill count. He's really good at killing, to the point where he actually has marked his body for every person he's killed, and it's actually lucky that each one is evenly spaced as it is. But pretty much he killed so many people that they wound up giving him the nickname of Killmonger, and I'm gonna start calling him that for the rest of this vlog, because hot damn, Killmonger is a great supervillain name. It is just say it out loud, Killmonger. It is so 90s, but it works. I love it. It's Killmonger. I'm calling him Killmonger from now on. In fact, everybody calls him Killmonger after that reveal. So yeah, Eric Killmonger. That's him now. So anyway, yeah. But T'Challa knows that Killmonger is his cousin, and so he has him brought to the royal throne, and yeah, he pretty much just says when T'Challa and the rest of the higher ups in Wakanda actually see him, Killmonger's pretty much just giving the speech of, I come here bringing the guy that you all hate as a peace offering, and what I'm here for is the throne. As he says that around the world, he sees that their people are just being oppressed and mistreated, and he thinks that they had the capabilities that Wakanda had, and they could pretty much just take all of them down, rise up and be better than them, rule over them. And so pretty much, yeah, his whole plan is just to take over the world. I'm not even joking. That if you actually just break it down to the base level, he just wants to take over the world. However, T'Challa is not exactly. T'Challa still thinks that he's kind of nuts, though is not exactly willing to listen to him. But he does tell people to ask who he is, and one guy finally does say, "Who are you?" And he does say that he's the son of the uncle, and that he has a birthright to the throne. And to confirm it, Okoye's husband pulls up the ring that he had. Which pretty much just confirms who he is. And part of the reason he's here is that he wants a trial by combat, as he has a claim to the throne just as much as anyone else does, as his father was royalty. So he does have a claim, and so T'Challa ends up accepting this, and so he and Killmonger end up going to that waterfall area, and once again T'Challa takes the drink to take away his superpowers. As such, he and Killmonger end up getting into a fight, and while in the beginning it does look pretty even-sided, T'Challa is only able to get one scratch in on his cheek. The rest of the time, Killmonger is just wiping the floor with him, taking him down in several areas, disarming him, slashing at him, cutting him. Just pretty much, it's just as one-sided as it can be as one-sided as you can have with this fight, and just everything is just. And so as he's just getting hurt more and more and more, and to the point, and eventually T'Challa's weakened so much that Killmonger tries going in for the kill, but Shuri comes in and says, "Wait, stop! Don't kill him. He's not the one responsible for your dad's death. It was me. If you want to kill anybody, kill me." Which Killmonger happily does, as he just stabs the guy, as he stabs him right in the chest. At which point he then goes, as T'Challa is still weakened once again. He just starts beating the crap out of him, even stabs him in the chest, and then he throws him over the waterfall. just seeing how, and so seeing this, Nakia, Shuri, and T'Challa and Shuri's mother, called Queen Madra, I think that's her name. Don't quote me on that. I think it's Madra. Have to make a quick getaway as they realize that if T'Challa's dead, then Killmonger does own the throne. As such, Okoye realizes they have to get out of there. They need to get away as fast as they can, and she tries to get Nakia. Sorry, Nakia realizes this, and so she does go to Okoye and wants her to help them and help to escape with them. But Okoye's loyalties are to the throne in Wakanda, and even though she doesn't exactly like she doesn't like Killmonger, he's the king now, so she has to obey him. Which even Nakia thinks is insane, but Nakia thinks it's insane because with him in charge, things are just going to go down the crapper. But Okoye feels that her hands are tied, so she doesn't go anywhere. As such, Nakia goes to her chambers and gives Ross something to hide himself, so that they can sneak him out as well. They can sneak him out as well. And so Nakia, Queen Madra, and Shuri and Agent Ross manage to make it to the outskirts of Wakanda and realize they need to get as far away as they can. As such, Nakia ends up going back to the chamber because she thinks that they're going to need another heart-shaped herb. And so we actually go to see Killmonger as he's going through that same deal as well, as he's given the essence of the heart-shaped herb and buried. And we end up seeing this actually kind of as we see as he goes to the ancestral realm, for him he ends up going to a version of his apartment, as we see him go as we kind of see a possible way of how he found his ring, as there's apparently this back room that he has where his dad used to keep stuff like weapons and even the journal about Wakanda and the jewelry. And so as he pulls that out, his dad appears to him and kind of gives him a look. And when they see each other, Killmonger at this point is kind of jaded, and he says, "No tears for me." And it's like, people die all the time. Nothing new. It's just how things go. And at this point, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think Killmonger's dad kind of feels that he thinks that the damage is too great on his son, that because he promised him one day that he'd be able to bring him home, but at this point maybe there's still a little, but maybe not. But even now that he thinks they won't accept him because he's too lost, but Killmonger counters that maybe they're the ones that are lost. As such, he wakes up with his newfound powers, and then he tells him to burn all of the heart-shaped herbs, which even the elders are like, what about for future kings? What about future kings? We can't do that. We need them for future kings, to which Killmonger just says, "I'm in charge," and I say burn them. As such, they do exactly what he says, but Nakia was able to thankfully grab one more herb and makes a run for it. As such, she meets back up with Queen Madra, Shuri, and Ross as they realize they need help, as they can't take down and unfortunately Killmonger is on a warpath. What he wants to do is that he wants to send out Wakandan weapons all across their spies across the globe, as if they can get to them, they can hand them out again with the lower class and they can pretty much just rise up and take over. Which even Okoye says that's not exactly what we've been doing the past few years, but her husband pretty much says no. He says, it's different. It's changing times, and you're either a conqueror or the conquered, and I think I'd like to be in the former category. So I knew he was going to be a villain. His first scene where he said that he wanted open war, and then he reacted angrily when they couldn't catch Claw. You knew that he was probably going to turn on them at some point. Which As such, Nakia, Queen Madra, Ross, and Shuri realize that if they want to have a chance of taking out Killmonger, they need an army, and so they go to the Fifth Tribe and go on to talk to M'Buku and possibly get his help. As such, they go to see, and while Queen Madra is not exactly happy to see, doesn't want to do this herself, and even tries to urge Nakia into taking the herbs, she thinks that she is smart enough to know I don't have an army, he does, ergo he's probably our best bet here. As such, they go to see him, and they do offer him the herb. And they go to see him, and while he does act a little hostile to them, in the end he is kind of nice enough to he actually does treat them with respect. He even makes a joke about how if Ross tries talking to him, starts talking to him and have him fed to his children. To which he responds, "I'm just kidding. We're vegetarians." But he does reveal that. But as they offer him the heart-shaped herb, he reveals something to them. T'Challa's alive, and they have him. It turns out when T'Challa was thrown over the waterfall, one of their fishermen found him and brought them there and put him in this little area and put him in this little pat and put him in this pat and buried him kind of all the way up to his waist and buried him on this little patch of snow. And pretty much the snow is the only thing that's keeping him alive. Otherwise, he's in a coma, and if he's taken out of it, he'll be dead in seconds. As such, they realize the only way to save his life is with a heart-shaped herb, which they immediately pound up and give to him, and then bury him in snow. As such, he goes through the meeting of he goes to the ancestral plane and meets with his dad, who tells him it's your time, you can come to join us. And yeah, T'Challa's just angry at him. Like, how could you do that? You just left a kid behind. You just left this kid behind. And he said that was my cover up. We had to keep everything safe. It's like, no, you're wrong. You're all wrong. We've been hiding ourselves for too long, and this guy is a monster of our own making. Now, thanks to you guys, he's nuts and wants to take over the world. So I can't let this stand. As such, T'Challa ends up waking up, and he's pretty much ready to take the fight to Killmonger, with even Shuri giving him his Black Panther suit, which he managed to smuggle out before they escaped Wakanda. As such, she asks Shuri to keep his mother safe. He asks M'Buku to keep his mother safe, and then asks M'Buku for help, though M'Buku isn't exactly willing to give aid, especially since because of just kind of the hostilities with their tribe. In fact, the only reason he even kept T'Challa alive was because T'Challa spared his life when they fought. So this kind of was supposed to even up the score. But T'Challa tries appealing to him, saying that, like, look, I want things to be different between us, and I need your help. And while M'Buku doesn't exactly say yes, though at the same time he does say he'll keep his mother safe. As such, T'Challa, Ross, Nakia, and Shuri manage to go back to Wakanda as Killmonger is planning to send out weapons out to their spy. Is getting ready to send weapons out to their spies, though T'Challa comes in and manages to knock down one of their planes that was trying to come out, and reveals that he's still alive. And, of course, since he never yielded, that means the trial by combat is still going on. Sure, at this moment, Killmonger still doesn't have a claim to the throne. It's still him. But Killmonger says, no, that's over now. I'm in charge. And, of course, Okoye's husband is perfectly willing to side with Killmonger. Because, again, he's actually he's ready for open warfare. While Okoye herself, she wants to stick with the trial by combat. As such, it pretty much causes a divide between what's left of Wakanda, with half of them siding with Killmonger and the other half, namely Okoye and her warriors, siding with T'Challa. As such, we get this giant fight scene as they end up going through as they send off some of their people to send off some of their ships. And so Shuri and Nakia Nakia and Ross managed to get down to Shuri's lab, and sorry about that. Anyway. Sorry, Xander just jumped on the bed. Okay. They managed to get to Shuri's lab and grab some weapons, and pretty much, and even throw one of their little discs on the plane, and have Ross pilot so that he can shoot down the planes that Killmonger sent out, so that they don't get to the outside world. As if they get far enough away, they'll activate a cloaking, and they'll be impossible to find. As such, they go to join the fight on the outside, and things are just going to hell in a handbasket as Okoye's forces are fighting against Killmonger, who it turns out actually grabbed the other Black Panther suit, which I actually really like this one too. I like this one too. I like black and gold. I'm a fan of black and gold. I like black and gold. I like black and gold, or black and red. I love them all. I love them both. So I like his design. I love the design for his Black Panther suit, and he's more than a match for Okoye's forces, especially for Okoye's forces. Though at this point, Shuri ends up coming in to try and fight him and he almost managed to kill her, but T'Challa manages to fight his way through the hordes that he's facing, and tackles Killmonger into this pit that they were next to, that leads directly to the vibranium mines. In the meantime, though, Okoye and her forces are seemingly surrounded by the other soldiers, and looks like they're outnumbered, especially since their cloaks actually create actually create light shields. But they're ultimately saved at the last minute as the fifth tribe, I forget their names, I am so sorry, comes in and pretty much just starts wiping the floor with them, as I'm guessing as they weren't prepared for them, And of course, of course, earlier in the battle, Okoye's husband wound up calling a horn that ended up bringing armored rhinos, or at least just one, that he's riding around in battle, and he's about to use it to try and rhyme down Mbuku, but Okoye steps in the middle of it, and well, since the rhino actually likes her, so it stops and instead of tackling her, it just licks her. As such, Mbuku steps off the rhino, and Okoye tells him to step down, and he said, it's like, would you actually strike me down? Would you actually try and attack me, my love? And then she says, for Wakanda. And so her husband looks around and sees how their forces are starting to get outnumbered, and he realizes that they've kind of already lost. In the meantime, T'Challa and Killmonger are now fighting in the mines, and their fights kind of brought them to these maglev stations where they've been using to haul vibranium away. And something that they showed earlier in the film was that vibranium is hard to transport at maglev speeds. So in order to keep them going, they have these things on that manage to actually deactivate vibranium and their external mobility so that they're safe for travel. As such, when T'Challa and Killmonger end up on the track, he asks Shuri to reactivate them as it will affect both their suits, since their suits are both made from vibranium. Which means, and if it starts going nuts, that means that, and if it starts meaning that. So if it's turned on, while it will affect T'Challa, it would also affect Killmonger. As it Shuri activates them, and it kind of puts Killmonger and him on. It ends up putting Killmonger and T'Challa on a more even footing, as their suits are now as functioning. Though when it first happens is when a train goes by, so they're not exactly on the same side. But it does give them a chance to talk, as we learn that part of the reason why Killmonger is the way he is just because he's angry at the world, and honestly, it's kind of understandable. Because he grew up in the hood, so of course, his life was probably rough, kind of growing up hard and stern, and with his dad telling him that he's from this great technological utopia that he wants to show him one day, and then one day the people from that utopia come to their apartment and kill his dad, not only kill his dad, but leave him behind. Yeah, I can kind of understand that. So combine that life with just this, I can understand why he is the way he is, because pretty much, so it is kind of understandable motivation. It does make you feel a bit sorry for him, but he's still not willing to back down, as the fight just keeps going further and further, and it looks like that he almost gets the upper hand, as he ends up pulling out a knife as he and T'Challa end up battling, but at one point, their suits, as the maglev goes by and their suits malfunctioning, T'Challa does manage to grab the knife, and as Killmonger's suits reforming, he manages to stab the knife right into his stomach, and that pretty much just seals the deal. At this point, Killmonger is just kind of realizing that he's kind of lost, and he kind of laments and he talks about how his dad said he'd bring him back here one day, but he said it was all fairy tales. And so, just kind of as one final favor to his cousin, T'Challa brings him on an elevator to a cliff where he shows him the sunset, and yeah, he realizes that it is beautiful. T'Challa then tells Killmonger, if we bring you back to life, we could probably heal you, but Killmonger says, no, I'm not going to do that. And then makes some stupid analogy about how he'd rather die with his ancestors who jumped off the ships. To which I respond with, "Bitch, if those were your ancestors, you wouldn't be here right now." And on top of that, his ancestors are from freaking Wakanda, man. You have no claim to that. He is still alive, so no, he's fine. Like, again, I sympathize and I can understand what he's getting at, but it's a stupid analogy, because if his ancestors did that, he wouldn't be there at all. So I don't know. I guess I know what he was trying to go for, but it just makes him sound. I don't know. No, it's just him. It just sounds like a what moment, because if his ancestors really did that, then he'd be dead. Then he wouldn't even be here in the first place. Actually, none of them would be there, since he's cousins with T'Challa. So yeah, his ancestors would be there, and they would both share ancestors. So yeah. Either way, he doesn't want to be healed and locked up. So he pulls out the knife and just kind of succumbs to his wounds and dies. As such, as everything is calming down, T'Challa realizes that they need to be more involved with the affairs of the outside world. That they can't just sit on their hands and do nothing now. They can't just be like this, or they can't just continue the ways of the. They can't just keep these old ways going, or else things are just going to get worse. As such, he talks to Nakia and says that he thinks he has a new position that she can use to help others out. And so the film ends with T'Challa and his sister going to the building that their uncle was killed in, as he reveals that he bought that building and the two surrounding buildings, and plans to pretty much make it sorry, hold on a sec. Sorry, I have trouble with words. He's planning on making the buildings into a Wakandan outreach center that he hopes Nakia will be in charge of, and he feels like this is just the beginning. And he says that this is just beginning. How they feel like they can, as he wants to now share the resources with Wakanda with the outside world, and so he brings his and Shuri's ships in, and a bunch of local kids see this and just start marveling at it, which I like because this is the Marvel universe. This is the Marvel universe. While they aren't completely shocked by it, at the same time, they are still looking at it and thinking it's cool, even talking about ways that they plan to sell it. But the one kid sees T'Challa and asks him who he is, and that's when the film cuts the credits. But again, Marvel film, we still got our after credits and mid credit scenes to talk about. And the mid credit scene is really not that big a deal. Not really that big. It's just T'Challa going to United Nations and saying how Wakanda is going to be doing more to the world and trying to set an example on how to be better. But the second one actually does continue further plot lines as we cut back to Wakanda, and we see that Bucky's up now, as he's now actually living on the outer rims of Wakanda in his own little hut, and has been given the nickname of White Wolf. As such, we see Shuri going to talk to him as he comes out of his hut, and she says that she has stuff that he has more to learn, and that's where the film ends. So, on the whole, what do I think of Black Panther? On the whole, I think it's a good movie. Do I think it's a great film? I wouldn't say that, but I do think it's a good movie. Its strength I do think lies in, well, like, its biggest strength I think is not just I only say this because in some ways it feels a little lesser. Let me explain. Before I get into that, let me just talk about what I liked. For starters, I love these characters. They're all really fun, and they all are really well acted, and the actors that behind them are really good. I like the actor who plays I love the actor that plays T'Challa, as he does he does feel like he has the stature of a strong, wise king, but also of someone insecure. As in the beginning, he is unsure of how he is going to be as a king and how things are going to go. Even when he goes to see his dad in the ancestral realm, how he feels that things will. Isn't aware of how things. He doesn't know how well he'll be without his dad's guidance. And the relationship between him and Shuri's interactions are really fun, as it does feel like interactions between brother and sister, as they kind of poke fun at each other, make fun of kind of do little jabs here and there, but at the same time they're in sync. They want to help each other out. And one of the funny scenes is when she's displaying the kinetic, how his Black Panther suit stores kinetic energy. And so she has him hit a point in the suit, which he performs a kick towards that causes the mannequin it's on to fly across the room. And so when when it absorbs the energy again, she tells him to hit it again. At which point she hits record. It's like, why are you recording? It's like, oh, it's for research purposes. Just go ahead. And so when he hits it, he's blasting the other side of the room while she's recording. It's like, delete that recording right now. It's just really nice and humorous. But at the same time, he is serious, and they do still establish that he is a king. And while he is a superhero, he is trying to do the best with what he can. Especially when the dark secrets of their lineage start popping up. He wants to know more. He wants to know more about what's going on. Especially when he learns about Killmonger and his uncle, because this does start poking holes in him. Because part of the conflict in this film is whether Wakanda should be involved in the affairs of the outside world. Because, like I said, they're isolationists, but the two viewpoints that we seem to get from this of how they can expand with the world are either complete domination or working with each other. And of course, the bad guys are the ones that think that they should be completely in charge of everything. That with them in charge, the rest of the world will be fine. But But while the good guys think, no, we should work with them and set an example and just and share our resources rather than just saying we're in charge now because we've got the bigger guns. And so when he eventually learns about what his father did and what he did to kind of keep this all under the rug about how his brother was involved in keeping how his brother how he tried covering up his brother's involvement in what Claw did, to even just leaving his own nephew behind just to try and keep the secret going. He realizes that this mindset does kind of lead to bad decisions, as to keep themselves hidden from everybody. They are willing to abandon They are willing to abandon people, because a direct consequence of that is Killmonger's existence. If he hadn't abandoned him, if they probably did take him with them and explained everything, he probably would have become a better person, or at the very least learned of Wakandan's ways, or maybe Killmonger in an alternate timeline could have been a better person. Let that be, actually make that. Actually, if anyone from higher at Marvel's watching this, though, let's be honest, why would you be? If anyone from Marvel's watching this, you can make that a potential episode of What If. I think that would be an interesting episode. What if they took Eric Killmonger with them after they killed his dad? How would he have grown up? Would he still have become a supervillain? Would he would he become maybe he could have been the bridge for that? Maybe he could have been the bridge. He could have been the one to unite everyone, saying, "I grew up in that life. With what we have here, we could help a lot of people." Maybe that would have been the life he grew up with. But because they just abandoned him and left his dad for dead, it doesn't lead to it just does not go well. Well, and speaking of Killmonger, Michael B. Jordan is great as Killmonger. I'll talk more about Killmonger when I talk about my criticisms, but the way he plays him is so intense and it fits so well. He is constantly focused. There is never a point where he is off. Every single moment he is on screen, he's pretty much just got tunnel vision towards what he wants. He's down to business. He doesn't joke around. And if he does joke around, it's like a minor line, like when his hair gets revealed, when his hair gets revealed in front of the higher council, and he looks to Queen Madra and says, "Hey, Auntie." Auntie, which that line was ad-libbed, but it fits so well. He is so intense in his performance. I think it helps add to his level of threat, to his threat level. There is never a moment where he gets distracted by everything. When the instant he arrives in Wakanda, he knows exactly what he wants. He wants to take down the king. When he takes down the king, he knows exactly. He gets everything over with and then burns the crops. He says, "Okay, we're gonna wage war." He knows exactly what he wants, and every single moment he's on screen, he is very focused. Even his opening scene where we see him at the London Museum, he acts like he's just a curious bystander and asking about everything. But it's still him just playing everybody, as his girlfriend was able to poison the museum curator's coffee when she went to go get it. And so through this entire conversation, she's still drinking the coffee, and you don't learn till he points it out that it was poisoned. So yeah, it helps add to the threat level. And how Michael B. Jordan plays it is fantastic. And on top of that, oh god, I love the action. I think it is amazing action. It's more down to earth and level, but it's so fun to watch. Kind of mixing. It's like Captain America if Captain America was an acrobat, because that's what Black Panther is. Because with the Black Panther suit, his enhanced agility and strength, he's able to jump from building to building. He's more aerodynamic. He can fight. He can go around high. He's more slim. He's faster, and it works to the film's advantage. And the film takes advantage of that and works with it. I think one of my favorite scenes in the film is the car chase scene, as he's just jumping from car to car, dodging bullets, taking them all in. It is probably one of the best fight scenes in the whole film, and it's just a joy to watch. It is amazing. And they're on top. And then, of course, again, we still have our arcs. Again, I already mentioned T'Challa. We got T'Challa. I like that. His arc, like him believing in Wakanda, to him starting to question it, to him ultimately realizing we do need to probably be more involved with the rest of the world. I like that. I like that. That's nice. That's nice. Even to him kind of just being disillusioned with his father. Like when when his ancestors go to welcome him into the ancestral plane, he pretty much tells them, "No, you all screwed up, and I'm gonna undo your mistake." It is a great scene. And again, we still have a lot of good characters there. I think the only one that was kind of just there was Ross, because he's just there to be, I guess I could say, the token white guy, because The rest of the characters do have points to this. Naki is the one that helps it. Naki is the one that keeps the fight going when T'Challa's out and about, and she's the one that kind of helps T'Challa reach the conclusion he reached at the end of the film, especially since she's also the love interest. Oh yeah, they also they also kind of get back together as T'Challa goes in for a kiss in the end of the film, and she returns it. Their mother is there to offer guidance, and she's family. And Shuri's the one that provides is the tech whiz. Ross, to my knowledge, his only major purpose in the movie was explaining Killmonger's backstory. Beyond that, I don't want to say he was completely useless, as he does do stuff. I just feel like out of all the characters, he doesn't have as much to offer. The rest of the characters can have a lot more to do. Just Ross is just kind of there in the sidelines, and it's not because, and I don't blame his actor, but yeah, he was. I feel like you could have replaced some certain parts of if you had just taken him out and altered a few scenes, you probably wouldn't have needed him. I'm just saying, you probably wouldn't have needed him. That's my 2 cents on it. I get that's my 2 cents. And on top of that, and there are still a lot of cool things, but I don't know. I feel like that there are still some things that hold the film back from being great. Because what I saw, because I want to exemplify this again. I don't think this movie's bad. It's good. It's fun. It's fun. I do like the characters. I do like the acting. I like the arcs. And I do like, and there are some impressive fight scenes, and the characters, and even the villain to a degree, I do understand and do feel sorry for. But I feel like one of the things that holds the film back is, in a way, it's pacing. Like, the beginning of the film doesn't really feel like it meshes with the rest of the film. Like, we got the stuff with the beginning with Killmonger's dad and how he got killed and what happened with him. But then we cut to T'Challa as he's getting crowned king, and then that plot feels like it's going somewhere. And it feels like it's a completely different part. Feels like a completely different movie. But because when Ulysses Claw comes in, that's when things go in a different direction. So that pacing kind of is noticeable. And then you got Killmonger himself. And again, I don't want to say this to discredit what all the cool stuff I said about him, because Michael B. Jordan, I think, does a great job with what he's given in this movie. He is, again, like I said, he's intense, laser-focused, and definitely feels like a villain that wants to get the job done. Like, if you crossed Killmonger, your ass is grass. Like all you have to do is look at him funny, and he'd be like, huh, boom. Sip. Like, that's what, but, and again, I understand his motivations. But my big problem with him is, why didn't he do this sooner? I'm not even joking. Like, because he reveals that his end goal was to get into Wakanda and take the throne, because, yeah, he does have a right to claim it. He is of royal blood. But with that being said, why didn't he do this sooner? Because he was trained, because he's a Black Ops specialist. He's highly trained. He's highly trained. He's got all the skills that he needed to probably do this. He could have shown up at any day and done this. Was he just waiting for the ideal time? Did he need to get Ulysses Claw? Well, in that case, why? Did he need to get Claw out in the open first? Like, was that the reason? Why didn't he just kill Claw? Like, why didn't he just kill Claw when he got him? Because Claw's been waiting, because people of Wakanda have been trying to get Claw for years, and yet all he probably would have needed done is say, I got Claw, you can have him. Was he just trying to start something and get their attention back on him and then do that? I think that them showing up and saying, oh yeah, I got this guy that you've been looking for years, I want to talk to someone higher up, please. I think that would have been enough. No, did he just want to kill his cousin? I don't understand. I can understand a grudge against that, but his dad is the one that did that. Yeah, would it not have been as fulfilling to kill an old man? Did he try this plan was he planning on doing this years earlier? Like, oh god, that's the guy, that's Black Panther now? Yeah, pass, I'll just wait till his son's king. Was that again, that's kind of a minor thing. That's a hiccup in this. I think, and I guess you can say contributes to the pacing thing. Because I feel like he could have done this plan at any time. So why did he wait till now? Why couldn't he have done it at any point? Why couldn't he have just tracked down Ulysses? Why couldn't he have tracked down Ulysses' Claw, said, ha, and then kind of made up some BS saying, I want to talk to you about something, and then the instant he got him alone, just got him alone, bam, 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 okay, let's get his corpse to Wakanda so I can become king. I think, I feel like he could have done that at any point. I feel like he could have done that at any point. Was he just like, I don't understand why he had to wait for that. I don't understand why he had to wait for this. And again, there's his motivation. Again, I sympathize with his understanding, but his motivation is simply, I was our people are oppressed, so we're gonna rise up and take over. It's basic supervillain motivation. Again, I do sympathize with his backstory, and it's part, and that's why I don't, and that's part of the reason why I don't think he's a bad MCU villain, but I don't think he's good. I don't think he's great either. He's kind of in the middle for me. Like, there are elements about him I love. Again, Michael B. Jordan's performance as Killmonger is fan-freaking-tastic. He really makes the role come to life, and his motivation, and his backstory is sympathetic when you actually do think about it. And you understand why he is the way he is. But by that same token, the execution of his plan could have been done in a lot. When he did this plan, could have happened a lot sooner. And on top of that, why the heck did he wait so? The execution of his plan could have been done a lot sooner, and it's just a basic take over the world plan. I don't know. Those plans just seem basic nowadays. I don't understand that. And that. I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on him. There's stuff about him I love. Like, I guess at the end of the day, I do like him. I do think he's an alright villain. There is still enough about him that I think that the good stuff does outweigh the bad stuff more. Like I said, Michael B. Jordan's performance is just fan-freaking-tastic as Killmonger. I think he's great. It's fan-freaking-tastic, and I think that's part of the reason why people like him. Because, again, it brings so much to the role, and it really makes him pop out and feel intimidating. It's just that there are other factors that I think hold him back as much, and unfortunately, that's kind of another thing this film has. It feels like it should be bigger, but it doesn't. And I think the biggest example would be Wakanda itself. Now, Wakanda, I think, looks great. It looks like a technological wonder when you fly over the city, see the large buildings, see the lab. It all looks really nice. But then you kind of compare it to other majestic worlds that Marvel's had, specifically Asgard. That place looked fan-friggin-tastic. It was magnificent. It looked great. In fact, it looked great with awe-inspiring visuals and so forth. You saw the Guardians of the Galaxy go into freaking space, and again, you can probably make the argument that it's not fair to compare this film to Thor, Guardians of the Galaxy, in terms of its design. And fair enough. That's a fair enough critique. But by that same token, I think that when I see those worlds and then compared to this one, this film feels a little more held back a bit. It still looks fancy. It still looks it still looks nice, and it looks like a great place when you actually when you see it. When you see it, I just feel like it could have benefited more from the larger scope that Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy had. Like, because those worlds did feel more fully realized, and to feel more fully realized, especially with the settings they have. And again, down to earth setting may not be as grand, but at the same time, a down to earth setting may not be as grand, but at the same time, it's not bad. A down to earth setting may not be as great, but again, you can still say it's probably not fair to compare and contrast the two, but that's just kind of how I feel. It doesn't look bad. It does look nice. I just think there are better ones. I just think that the MCU has produced better worlds. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't know. On the one, and I don't want people to get angry about me, but these are just. And again, this film isn't bad. I think it's a good movie. It's got great acting. I feel like the characters really. It's got all the acting from all the main cast is just fantastic. The characters are nice and do have nice arcs and interactions with each other that do make everything feel nice. The action is really kick ass and is super fun to watch and go and see. Oh yeah, another thing I want to talk about. I actually do like the Wakanda technology. I just wish we could. I feel like we could have still seen more of it, but from what we've seen of it, it does look really nice and advanced. Seeing the Black Panther suits, how they work, how they operate. Seeing the cloaks that can turn into shields, that was really nice. Nice. I don't know. I feel like we could have seen more. I think we end up seeing more in later films. But for what we got, it's a nice taste, and I like it. I want to see more. I would like to see more of that, but yeah. Again, on the whole, I'm trying to just emphasize, I do still think this is a good movie. The acting, all the main cast turned in great performances. The characters are nice and well rounded and sympathetic, are nice and well rounded. The action scenes are fan-freaking-tastic. I do like how things end up and the arcs that the people go on. The arcs that people go on, and while I do have some hiccups and while the main story does have some hiccups here and there, I feel like it's decently paced. My big problems with it are I feel like it could have been bigger, is what I'm saying. I feel like it could have been more. The villain isn't like the villain's good. The villain is good, but I feel like he could have had. I feel like if he had been more well-rounded in a couple more areas, he probably would have been a lot better. Wakanda looks nice, but I feel like it could have been a little bigger. A little bigger. I like the technology, but I feel like we could have more of that. It's just that again, for me, part of the reason why part of what holds the film back is not what it did do, but what it could have done. And that's not. And I don't want to say that that's a. And I'm not. And I don't want to. And I don't like saying that. I really don't, because I don't like judging. I don't like judging things on how it could have gone or what it did. I don't like judging things on what it could have done in some regard, especially since what we got isn't bad. It's just that I felt it could have been more. That's all I'm saying. And I don't like saying that, but that's just genuinely how I feel. And I know a lot of people really like this movie, and I implore you, I'm glad you enjoy it, and I like it too. I don't know if I like it as much as everybody else. Again, so, but yeah, on the whole, I don't think Black Panther is a bad movie. I do think it's a good movie. It's got fun superhero action, great characters, great acting. The effects are nice. The effects are nice. I just feel like it has a few minor things here and there that kind of hold it back a bit and keep it from being great. It's a good movie. I just don't think it's a great movie. Good. But it's good. I want to just emphasize that. It's a good movie. Still check it out if you're interested. I just feel like it could have been a little bit better. I hope that I got everybody. I hope I got someone's. Hopefully, I got some of my haters off my back. And if you do disagree with me, please respectfully tell me in the comments and don't call me an idiot. I beg of you. So, yeah. I guess that's all I have to say on this movie. Thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and next time we meet, this is it. It's time. The beginning of the end, people. Next time is the beginning of the end. So, tune in next week as we finally take a look at the payoff for a decade's worth of build-up with Avengers Infinity War.